Three, two, one. What's up, everyone? It's me, the Ruthless Reactor, and in this video, I'm finally discussing with you guys from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. I've seen the movie sometime back, so I'm now going to react to it. And because it's been in theaters long enough, there will be spoilers in this review of the film. All right, sounds good. Before I begin, let me know if you guys have any other suggestions for any upcoming videos, shows, movies, anything like that I need to react to. I can consider in the comments below, and let me know what you thought about Ballerina as well. And as always, consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video. Doing these things just helps me out. And yeah, got a lot more planned out, especially once I start seeing the upcoming movies that I've reacted to. So, a lot more to come. Anyways, let's start dissecting this film. So the movie is starting with a flashback, right? As soon as I went in, we saw Ana de Armas, who plays the ballerina Eve Macaro in the film. And first, we see, I think, sitting down holding the ballerina figure, and then it just flashes back straight to her past, her origin story, explaining where she came from. And I remember while I was watching this in the theater, right? And there was also another thing about photosensitivity, because there was a lot of lighting and colors used in this film. I could see why there was the warning. I could tell. They used a lot of that in the film. But getting back to this point I'm making here. So her origin story, explaining what happened to her dad and the tribe and the cult and all that stuff that he was in and he tried to get her out of and all that stuff. But now you gotta, pay the cost of your actions and stuff. And I wanted to know more about her dad's wife, who what she was like and what she was involved with. Maybe that could have helped me understand more while the flashback scene's playing out. But of course, his daughter was in trouble of being taken away from him, so he had to protect her, or she might die. So, it was a very risky situation they were in. And this flashback sequence, going into her origin, took place for about 20-ish minutes, if I remember correctly, right? And keep in mind, the movie's only 2 hours long, if you remove credits and all. It's maybe even less than 2 hours. So the fact that this much of the film went into the origin really meant that they were really trying to make something work with this film, And it definitely felt like, they wanted to really explain her origin in a very well satisfying manner so they could define, her goal, why she's doing the things she's doing, her actions, and, what her events of her life were like and how she ended up becoming the ballerina figure that she is today. So I feel like having a strong backstory does help. Now, they couldn't make a complete origin film for her, so they didn't spend too much time with her backstory or show her mom, or I guess what happened to her sister when she was young. I guess those things could have helped better visualize that a little bit more, but I think with the time they had, I guess they chose to show that particular scene, her being separated from her father after he died while he was trying to protect her. So things like that were pretty interesting. We also got to see the villain of the film for the first time, who we'll get into a little bit, the main villain of the film. But eventually she does grow up. Before that, though, she, there was one important thing I wanted to write down. Alright, there we go. When she met Winston, she ended up, I believe, joining the Roma, right? Where she sort of became an assassin. She was doing the training, right? And, she basically chose this new life for her, right? Because she had the option to not do so. But I feel like after what happened to her father, she really wanted a lot of answers. And I think for her, she's like, there's no point in me just continuing a normal life. I have to know more about what happened to my father. I need to become a skilled fighter myself, and I need to figure out about the people who murdered him. So those were important things that made sense why she chose to join them. And they're like, all right, we'll help you become a skilled assassin. We'll give you the skills that you need to become one so you can defend yourself in life and, face the brutal consequences of reality, like maybe getting your dog killed. Side note there. And after that happens, we do get the training montages, of course, where at first she's struggling to go up against this guy who's really tall, buff, all those things. But, eventually, the secret is if she can fight like a girl, then she can win, I guess. And she starts going on her first couple of missions after that, assignments. Her first test, of course, is, what you would assume. Do you have the guts, I guess, to kill someone? Um, that's what happened earlier. And after that, trying to remember, she goes on her first couple of assignments, right? But the thing is, she hasn't really done this too well, so you can see her struggle as being an assassin, right? She doesn't have like the full like confidence yet. She's not the best yet. She's still like a beginner, level one, like John Wick himself was level one many, many years ago. So we never got to see him like that when he first started his first couple of missions. So we have no idea what that looked like. So it sort of took time for her to gain skill. And if I remember correctly, her fighting style is more about using objects in her surroundings and using that as weapons to fight her opponents. That's how Eve chooses to fight. So that's what she does in her respective manner. Her first mission, she had to I think protect this woman, and she's able to do so. And if someone's stopping her, she might have to fight her, kill them if necessary. So that's sort of what her life sort of became like. And I just love the use of the colors and the visuals in like most of the scenes. The director for this film, Len Wiseman, did a pretty good job with that. And of course, Chad Stahelski, our goated producer, who I don't know why didn't direct this film, was still there to help out. And the sets and all look pretty good so far. After she begins training, she gets into a run-in with one person who was trying to shoot her. And I remember watching the scene from the film, right, where she's driving in her car, and I'm pretty sure she ran past a red light, and the car came like crashing into her from the other side like that. Can you guys confirm that that's what happened? I'm pretty sure she ran a red light, but side note there. Obviously the person is trying to kill her though, so I guess that was more what was at stake there. And after that, she finds out that the person who was trying to kill her was one of the people from the tribe who did kill her father. So I then realized maybe she should join the Roscaroma to get a chance to find out who killed her father and, avenge him, I guess. Maybe that was one of the plot points and maybe the reasons why she chose to join the Roscaroma, again, to have the skills when needed. And I guess, if she did figure out more about what happened to her father, then that would help. And she decides to sort of go on her own personal mission to do so. At first, I believe, I'm trying to remember here, she decides to ask the lady who put her into the Roscaroma more about the people from the tribe, but she said that we shouldn't get involved in this matter, you should stay where you are. But of course, she will rebel, and she goes to Winston to ask for information. And before she does so, when she enters the Continental, which I just love seeing that place, she does meet the GOAT, Lance Reddick, who plays Charon. And, he was there, and I don't know when they filmed that scene because he's been gone for a couple of years. It's just sad, you guys. He was the GOAT, truly. But I'm understanding this film takes place between John Wick Chapter 3 and 4, or John Wick 3.5, I guess. I still don't know when, they decided to actually greenlight this film, or, when it came out, or when they started filming it, because I know they delayed it for quite a bit. But anyways, she goes to Winston, and he sort of gives her a guide to go after one person, who's played none other than by Norman Reedus, who didn't have a big role in the film. He was only there for a couple of scenes. He played Pine, I guess that was his name, and his daughter was also in danger of being kidnapped by the same main villain of the film. Super weird thing going on with this one, but whatever. So that was what was going on there, and as time moved forward from then on, she eventually decides to go after the main villain, and she finds out more information about where to go, like the main location of where the villain is located, and it's in like this cold, snowy place. And I believe they filmed it in like Northern Europe as well, like to actually get like as realistic as possible. And the town where the villain is so weird. One of the weirdest things I've seen. Because in the beginning of the during the flashbacks, I thought they were in some like hidden like place. You had like beaches and walls and stuff, but no, they're in this cold, snowy place in Europe, I guess. And the whole place felt like a cult, where if the main villain, I guess, who's called the Chancellor, or whatever, if he wants to do something, he can like sound out alarms and he can tell adults what to do, and then the kids all and everyone just listens to him. It's super weird. It's like he wanted to like take control of his own town. Yet, okay, that's just kind of weird. Like the idea that this tribe was after her, yet this is the situation of the people. I guess this was maybe his best way of protecting himself, but I feel like he could have done better. The flashbacks really hyped him up, seeing him like some sort of intense villain, but after this, he slowly started to become less interesting. Of course, they had to tie him into Eve, and they did so by revealing the fact that her long lost sister was working for him, I guess. Super weird. Super weird, though. I mean, I understand they wanted to go for some sort of connection, but the rest of it just didn't pan out as much as I'd like to hope. I'd rather have him just maybe not be related in some way, but still be this like big, strong villain we saw when she was young, I guess. That would have definitely been interesting to see. But after that, she decides, I guess, to go after him. But then, if she's no longer following the orders of the Riskoroma, then they send one of their own to intervene in this mission. And of course, they send in the Baba Yaga John Wick, who does show up. I'm not going to mention him too many times because he doesn't play the biggest role in the film, but he did show up now once. The first time he showed up was when Eve was about to, I guess, start her first couple of missions, where they had all heard stories about the legends of the Baba Yaga. And I think it was when John Wick first came in, after I think his dog had recently died, like during John Wick 1 or whatever. So, that was like when he first started to get back into the game of being an assassin. And, like he had said, he was working on getting a way out of this life of an assassin. He tried telling Eve to, leave, that she shouldn't be a part of this, but of course, she's a rebel. She's not going to listen to him. But anyways, coming back to where I'm at now. So she meets him again, and, he tries to tell her to stop doing this personal mission of trying to kill the Chancellor, because there's a bunch of, like, adults who are trained, I guess, by the Chancellor, because when, I guess, he, like, kidnaps the kids, and then they grow up and they become super angry, and then they start working for him and kill or hurt people if necessary. They do all those things. So it's like this weird cult cycle that's been going on for who knows how long. I think he mentioned that the tradition of this culture has been going on for more than hundreds of years. So it's super weird, you guys. I couldn't understand that portion of the film. Like what's going on here, but I could understand why. I guess her life and her choice was better, because I don't think anybody would want this. And if Eve was going to be part of this, I can see why her dad was trying to get her out. So things like that I could pick up, but some other things I was still a little confused by. So she tries to kill the Chancellor, and I'll be honest, the Chancellor is probably not super hard to kill. He's pretty much a guy. At first I thought he would have something, but without like his men or whatever to protect him, he is just a normal person. Before, though, I gotta mention how Eve found the location of where the villain was, whereas she goes to meet this guy first, to get some weapons, I guess, to go after him, because, again, she has, like, a particular set of skills when it comes to using weapons. I think eventually she just uses, like, this, like, flamethrower weapon or something, just shoots out fire and stuff. But before that, she goes to meet this weapon guy, and I remember watching the film, and the weapon guy was like, "Can I be frank with you?" And it was so funny because the guy's name was actually Frank, and Frank means like director, forthcoming or whatnot. And I'm pretty sure everyone in the theater laughed during that scene. So like there was a little bit of comedy in this one, because I guess they zoomed in for that portion of the film. And of course Frank gets attacked because the people are after him and Eve, I guess, and they pretty much destroy his shop. And they are able to, I guess, take the people out, but his shop's a mess. But then Eve gets the location of where the villain is, and she leaves to go after him. Now we can sort of explain what was going on here. So she's trying to kill the Chancellor, I guess, because she won't stop until he's dead, I guess, to avenge her father, and I guess stop this like cycle of this weird cultist place from continuing to exist. And I don't know why the people are so happy to work for him. Like, do they get anything in return? I mean, maybe the place is pretty safe, actually. That might be the case. And maybe he's just there for hiding purposes. I'm not entirely sure, because I feel like there's got to be more to this cult and culture that we barely we barely get to see. So, the Baba Yaga, John Wick tells her, okay, you got a couple of minutes, I guess, because by like 11:59 p.m. or midnight around then, if you don't give up your mission, I will have to take you out. So she has only a few minutes to spare, really, to complete her mission. I guess she does fine. I mean, it was more of her own personal origin story, so most of the scenes were about her. John Wick just became more of a background character after that, just doing things in the shadows, I guess. And she does come close to, I guess, killing the Chancellor, but when he realizes he's in danger, they decide to help him escape. But she's almost able to track him down. But when John Wick sees that time is running out, he, I guess, decides to help her in her mission because she knows what she's doing is for her father and after all the events that happened. So he did have some level of understanding of what was going on. And after that had happened, it's this whole rules and consequences deal. The Chancellor dies. John Wick leaves because his mission is no longer required. Eve accomplished her mission, I guess. Her goal was complete. So he left and never seen again, and she will continue, I guess. I don't know if she's still going to be part of the Ruska Room or not, or if she still needs them. Who knows? I mean, she's still not the best yet. She's nowhere near John Wick level perfect, and her main skill set is using nearby weapons. But besides that, it's a decent, fun film, I guess. Fun time, I should say. It does have some of its moments, I should say. So yeah. And then I guess the film just ends, leaving the idea that maybe a sequel could happen. Other things are possible, with the ever expanding world of the John Wick universe. So yeah, multiple other potential spin-offs and storylines are still possible. So there is that. I believe John Wick was only in this film for maybe about like 8 to 10 minutes, maybe. I don't know. I don't think he was in it for too long, because like similar to like Captain America and Avengers: Infinity War, you can tell that they're there, and they probably have the most iconic scenes of the film, but they themselves don't do too much. And I can see how he wasn't really needed in this one, and they decided to give Eve, the ballerina of this film, more of her origin story. So yeah, that's kind of what had happened in this one. I think I've gone through the main plot points. Again, like I said earlier, the villain of the film was okay-ish. During the flashback scenes, you see him like someone not to be messed with, but later on, he kind of got like a little bit nerfed, in my opinion. But I did enjoy that they tried to go for a bit of a personal connection, and her sister, I think, did end up dying, because he decided to, I guess, turn on both of them. I mean, he was already done with Eve, and then her sister, like, once she found out what really happened to each other, then it didn't matter too much, I guess. And there was another scene earlier where there was like this big shootout in another hotel scene, where she said she was only going to stay for one night. And that scene was pretty awesome, where she first meets Norman Reedus' Pine, and he's trying, I guess, to figure out more about him and, what he's up to. And he finds out he has a daughter, and I guess, it's all full circle again, but now she's the adult, so she tries to help him because now he's in danger and try to save her daughter. And then towards the end of the film, they do reunite, and Norman Reedus' Pine is back in the hospital. Maybe he was in the hospital earlier, who knows. And other people who were there during the shootout scene did kill some people. Now, since we can't conduct business on hotel grounds, I guess, whether it's the Continental or some other chain, I guess, you will die. So they did get shot. So that is kind of what happened around that scene. I guess it's nice to know that maybe this sort of cult place won't continue, but then they did tease the idea that, you cut the head of the snake with the body still there or something like that, I didn't make too much of it, just I guess the idea that we can tease some other things to come in the future. Norman Reedus wasn't in the film for too long either, but it was nice to have, I guess, another famous actor in this one. So all around, we got a couple of people here and there. So definitely fun, interesting film to watch. Crowd pleaser, I guess. I mean, the visuals, the comedy, the lighting, the action, it was all there as expected, you know. When Lionsgate makes one of these movies, you know they're going to put in quite a bit into it. So again, I think I covered almost all the major plot points of the film. And yeah, the villain was just kind of whatever towards the end, but that was okay, I guess. He died. Big whoop, I guess. Kind of like the villain of John Wick 1, you know. He was fun. But I think I did like this villain more than the villain of John Wick Chapter 2, just because he did seem like more of an interesting guy. Like, what did the villain of John Wick 2 do? Like, just burn his house down or something? I don't remember that film too much, because in my opinion, I just don't like it too much. For me, it's the weakest one. I think my ranking was for the four John Wick movies, three, then four, then one, then two. I understand one is good. Some people might love one. It's probably the most direct film, but in terms of action and villain, could have been a bit better. Um, you know, I I guess maybe three and four might have better villains, but four, like Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, just dragged on for quite a bit for my liking. So you know, but other than that, it was fine-ish, I guess. Oh well. Oh, what else? So yeah, that's what happened. So, and just John Wick chapters three and four just had more action to them, so I enjoyed those films more. But there's not really any bad John Wick film, even with Ballerina. Now, none of these five movies I would say are inherently bad. They're all watchable, filled with tons of action. I definitely recommend if you haven't checked out this franchise, you definitely should. Because I remember as I was watching this film, like, if you haven't really seen the John Wick movies, you won't be super lost. There are definitely some Easter eggs and references, so it's definitely helpful if you're a fan of the films or have just seen them, you know, so you're familiar with the how this franchise works. But if you haven't seen the John Wick movies, you won't be super surprised. Like, you could still follow along with this one as I was watching this one. But again, it would really help if you'd seen John Wick, and I would understand how the heck would anyone know what Ballerina is about if you haven't seen the John Wick movie. So, you know, but if you haven't seen them and did watch it, you shouldn't be super lost, is all I would say. So yeah, that's about what happened. Now I know you're excited for this part of my review of the film because I'm going to give it a rating. So all in all, from beginning to the end of the film, the pacing did work out, I guess. Again, like I said, the past like flashback happened for like almost 20-ish minutes, I guess, and the film was like under a 2 hour runtime, which is classic, I guess, but not compared to John Wick Chapter 4. That thing dragged quite a bit. Why do movies have to be 2 hours and 30 minutes plus? I don't get it. Unless like you need to have like Avengers, like Endgame. Actually Endgame did kind of drag a bit, but I'll give it to them because I love that film. But you know, there's no need to really go past the 2 hour 30 minute mark if you don't need to. So like this film, it didn't need to. The pacing, perfect, spot on. Loved it. It was fine. So that was definitely a check for me. Again, the villain, about as average as they'd come. Because from the John Wick franchise, I'm expecting stronger villains now. Especially like Kane in the fourth one, though. That's why I like four. Because the action did have its moments. The villain, I did like Kane quite a bit. And I loved his fighting style. But it did drag on quite a bit for my liking, you know. But that's that. But I love the ending of four, you know, like the ending of John Wick Chapter 4 was just beautiful in my opinion, like a perfect send off for the franchise. I would definitely say so. But I feel like four is the most polarized one because you have people who like love it or hate it. You know, it's such a polarized film. One of my friends, his favorite is two, and his least favorite is four. So, you know, I personally don't care. Like, again, since there's not really a bad John Wick movie, I won't hold it against you, you know? Everyone is entitled to their opinion, as we can all agree there's not really any bad ones. It's fine. I don't know where I'd put Ballerina among them, though. It's hard to say for sure. I might put it over two, but I don't know if I'd want to put it over four. Because I did love parts of four, and then John Wick falling down the stairs in four was, man, that was something. They really stretched it out. Like literally, him falling down the stairs probably took like 10 minutes of the runtime there. I'm kidding, I don't remember, but it is what it is, I guess. But all in all, Ballerina gets a 7.5. Whereas I should say, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina gets a 7.5 out of 10. Because the villain was about average, as they can come, as I'd expect. But the action, great, goated, as expected. So yeah, there you go. I think I've touched upon everything, and even the connection to the John Wick films. So yeah, that's about that. Let me know if I missed something. I can add it in the comments below, or if you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them. But yeah, that's about that. So you guys, thanks for sticking around and to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. And again, any other suggestions, please let me know. And check out other videos I have on the channel. They're fun, I guess. And always open recommendations. Even in the comments section, lively and active. It's definitely helpful for me and for you guys too, especially for you guys. And I'm going to end the video right around here. Eagle Rusa's Reactor is out. Take care, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.